This is a new format. It's called The Corny Cast Shorts. I'm going to try to keep my opinionated self to a minimum number of seconds. And milliseconds, and all those other somewhat arbitrary measurements of this thing we call time. That'll be a full-fledged Corny Cast one day, God willing. Time. Okay, Third Day song. That was hella litty back in the day. Maybe I'll listen to it later today. Man, sometimes I just end up rhyming. I don't know why. It's like I'm a lyricist or something, and a poet like Joel of Being as an Ocean, who wishes he could be on tour while Joel that is hella on tour, and I hope him well, especially having gone through some of the shite this past year. I and Brutus, the two of us, have certainly gone through some shite. But so have 1,700 or so people in Quebec who were just laid off by Amazon. Now, enter hypocrisy, because I can't speak on this issue without being a hypocrite. I am sitting on break by a big box store, which would be an alternative to purchasing certain things from Amazon. Brutus tells me, take it easy, man. You don't even have a mailing address right now. It's nice to be an idealist, but sometimes reality strikes, and there are certain things that are hella hard to find, if not just too expensive otherwise, without using the pickup option from Amazon. So yes, I'm using Amazon. I feel bad about it, but I don't even have a mailing address, so I can't go online and buy things from potentially equally or almost as problematic merchants. Now, this is a problem that we had decades ago that now the symptoms have become much more apparent, which is there is less competition, there are more monopolies, there are just a handful of big corporations that are not only controlling goods like food, clothing, etc., the type of shit I would order from Amazon, but information. And look at what that does to elections. Chris Hedges was right. The last election was not about saving democracy. It was about corporatocracy versus oligarchy, and the latter won. Much in part due to a migrant from South Africa. And I don't call people from the South migrants. I save it for men like Jordan Peterson, Tom McDonald, and why am I throwing him into it? He's not even a good musician or rapper. And Elon Musk. So, my little beepy thing just backed me up on that. And I always have Ja behind my back, and POD and Dogwood, etc. And maybe Creed and Tremonti and MXPX in my career. I don't know. Bands and musicians I actually want to go see live. NF. Although NF, I have to do a whole other thing. I will never play my own music. Should I? When I am able to release some original music, it won't be at a Dana White / white supremacy / UFC event. And Bobby Ritchie will be nowhere near it with his machine gun. We can hand him a Nerf gun and he can go have some fun in the corner. But I wanted to talk about, I said this was going to be a short 3:33. I'm cutting myself off. No. Okay. Last thing. So 1,700 people just got laid off in Quebec. Marc-Andre Fleury, the flower power time, Super Mario. Okay, I can start talking about Luigi, but we're not going there either in this video. That makes me want to do what I did in the past, which is boycott Amazon. But boycotts are only so effective as the numbers, as you hit them in the pocket. If you don't make a dent, otherwise you're just like a mosquito without malaria. You're a mosquito that they could care less about. So for boycotts to be effective, they have to be done as a collective, not as a corporation, as a collective. And we need more collectives and co-ops, that is cooperatives, to rise up in the marketplace. Now, Minneapolis, for instance, does a good job of having a lot of co-ops. However, they still get a lot of their food from UNFI and some other, it's just when it comes down to it, really is a problem with capitalism itself. I know some people, especially on the far right, want to act like capitalism is God's version of economy. Or, in the words of someone like John Cooper of Skillet, God's created order. There are only two genders, and it's capitalism and listen to Skillet. Okay, but if you really want to be unpopular, like Jesus was, I mean, he was arrested and executed and so unpopular, his own followers, except for the women and like one dude, what was up with that, stayed and watched him suffocate on a cross after he was brutalized by an empire quite reminiscent of the one you adore, John Cooper, that is US of A. It's as if they hate America. Do you not see how many similarities there are? Oh, yeah, make fun of me for doing that. There are between Rome and modern day America. Do you need to read Cullen Murphy's book, Are We Rome? ? Will you ever talk to someone like Tim Whitaker? No. Why? Because yins are weak and wimpy, or wimpy and weak and anti-woke and scared and insecure. Otherwise, you would come meet us on a higher level and have open discourse, dialogue, learn from one another, realize no one has all the answers, no one has, quote, arrived, no one is in a position under God's reality to order the world according to his image of domination. There is no bigger oxymoron than worldwide Jesus domination. And thank Jah that that's not the way Jesus operated. And he, in your freaking Bible, John Cooper, you are contradicted by Jesus, by woke Jeshua, or Yeshua, however you want to pronounce it. If anyone who wants to tell me that Jesus himself wasn't woke either doesn't know what woke means or has traded in the historical Jesus and the risen Jesus, the proto-Palestinian, for white American Jesus. And you know what? The real Jesus, had he been working for Amazon, would have been laid off. I'm sure he would have been standing with the workers there. I'm sure like he would be so sold out to Jah that he would be rendered irrelevant to this economy. And then people would be trying to trip him up. But like, well, should we pay our taxes or not? Because he was that radical. And we can talk about the extent to which his teachings are, quote, practical and all that. And we can read Niebuhr like I was the other day. And I'll do another Cornycast about this. Okay, this is just a regular Cornycast. I'm over 7 minutes. If in the future, if I give sermons, I should just not even prepare for them. I should just start talking, because none of this. I love Rob Bell, and before the store opened this morning, I was listening to the latest Robcast. He prepares his, and I think that's well and good. And maybe if I want to sit down and do some audio only podcasts, I will at least put down some notes and some bullet points. But man, I really enjoy just being a conduit for, dare I say, truth. We're going to debate that, John Cooper. We're going to make a straw man of postmodernism and just bring up all these or a few philosophers and act like they are exemplars of that which you loathe, deplore, and declare war upon. Speaking of podcasts, the latest New Evangelicals is great about deconstruction. I want to call it something else. Like I call the IDF the IOF. I have retermed Zucks as Zucks with a Z because Meta Zucks, Mark Zuckerberg Zucks, etc. Ronald McDonald Zucks. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. If you think my monologues suck, no one is forcing you to watch them. If I hashtag them with certain terms, they get barely any views and sometimes they get censored. So let's just not buy into this facade of free speech. Even TikTok will censor certain things. Oh, I wonder why. It's not as if Ronald McDonald was basically the one who got it reinstated. He's not concerned about privacy and national security. He loves TikTok because on it, and he said it himself, he's a big star. It's about his freaking ego. He's a narcissist. And I make my videos not for views. I don't get many. I'm doing it because I think it's important, because I think truth is important, because I think the way we treat the least of these, however you say that in Aramaic and how differently that would have been understood for Jesus' contemporaries, whatever. The marginalized, the downtrodden, the people who are escaping persecution, just trying to survive at the southern border, for instance, as opposed to white guys like Elon Musk, Tom McDonald, yes, him, Ronald McDonald, Tom McDonald. I'm conflating the two. They're equally clownish. just these white guys from Canada and elsewhere who just further materially enrich themselves because this land is just the soil. It's ripe for for the shit they're laying down. If you catch my grift, you grifters. And man, I should do another Cornycast, and I will, on Russell Brand, because he's like, I'm a Christian, so of course I support Israel. Okay, let's not even make a distinction between Zionism and Judaism. Well, Russell's we'll just call him a baby Christian, and no matter what he says and does, he's just a baby Christian, like Ronald McDonald will always be a baby for his whole life. It's a good excuse. Like if you're someone like Franklin Graham and you are, again, not listening to the words of Jesus and doing this demonstrative public prayer. I'm out of time because I have to go back, because even though I'm going to leave this job, I don't plan on leaving it this morning. And man, it's hella cold. I feel bad for people who have to sleep outdoors in this shit and work for employers who don't care, like Amazon. And maybe somebody else who just decided to follow suit and get rid of its DEI initiatives. Getting pretty close and indistinguishable to Walmart, I gotta say.